Hello, I'm Tamitha. This is my Homestead Wife Life. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're doing a second in the series of Bread Baking 102. We're going to do a straight dough, which means there's no fat. It's a simple flour, yeast, salt, the old dough that I spoke about in video 1, water, and a little bit of honey. It's very, very simple. The technique is actually more in the stretching and folding, which I'll go through when we get to it, but this is a very simple bread. It's delicious. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna put my hair up because I can't handling food with my hair down, and I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We are at the mixer now. To our bowl, we're gonna add 105-degree water. It can be a little hotter in my case because I'm using a stainless steel bowl. If you're using one too, you definitely want to go with slightly warmer because your bowl is going to cool it down. We are going to grab, excuse me, sorry about that. We're going to add our honey to the water. Okay, I'm going to stir that around just a bit. And then we're going to add to our honey water the old dough that we spoke about last time. We're going to break it apart just like last time into small pieces that will be easily mixed in with our dough hook, which is what our mixer is fitted with. Whoopsie. Okay. Give that a quick stir. Double check that our water has cooled down. It has, it's perfect. This is our instant yeast. Mix it right in. Again, quick stir. We don't need to bloom it because it's instant. And then we're gonna go straight in. We're gonna turn the mixer on. And we're gonna go in with our bread flour. Best quality you can find. In my case, I'm using King Arthur bread flour. This has all been measured. These recipes have been tested. So that's why I'm not worried about just dropping all the flour in. I know that this works. Now you may need, depending on where you live and the humidity in your area, a touch more water. That's possible. Or even a touch less. So you can hold back a 1/4 cup of the water just to make sure that it works for you where you are. I'm going to turn the mixer up. Up a little bit more. Now, we're going to stop the mixer. I've got my pink salt here. Again, the measurements are below. And I'm going to get a tablespoon of water just to pour on top of that salt to help the dough absorb it. This is going to start to pull the dough together. I'll turn the camera back on when we get to the next step and I can show you what the dough needs to look like. Again, I'm going to show you the importance of the slapping sound. I'm going to turn this up. Do you hear that? 30 seconds from when you hear that sound. That's when we stop our mixer. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We are finished at the mixer. We did 30 seconds after we heard that slapping sound. That sound is telling us that we've developed enough gluten, that we're ready to move on to the next step. So I've greased my dough bucket. This is a Cambrose bucket. I linked it in the previous recipe. I'll link it again. But these work great for raising dough. They're measured here so you can actually see when you double in size. So we're going to take our bowl. We're going to flip it over for a sec. Now, don't forget, we have to save a bit of our old dough in our little jar for the next batch of dough. It doesn't matter what kind of bread I made. I always save a few tablespoons. There it goes. I save a few tablespoons between 3 and 4 in here, put it back in the fridge, and I add it to the next dough. Been doing it for years, and it adds so much flavor. Okay, we're done. Bowl is empty. Stick that there for the moment. Now, wet my hand. This is a stickier dough than the last one, so you definitely want to handle it with your hands wet. This is about the amount I want. Goes right in here. That feels like 3 tablespoons, and I bet if I measured it, it's exactly what it would be. Okay, so with the wet hands, we're going to pull all the way up, fold over, and we're going to do that at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So that just gives you an idea of how we're doing this. We turn the bowl 90 degrees. Turn it again, 90 degrees, pull it all the way up, and fold it over. It's going to look like that, okay? So let me see if I can take it out, make it easier for you. We're going to pull, stretch, come over, do it from the other side, come over, one more time, and then we're going to seal the bottom. This is for the first time. The rest of the time, we're going to do it in the bucket. We're just giving it a little structure, a little spine to start its rise. We're going to come back every 20 to 30 minutes. In this particular case, for this bread, I like to go 30, and we're going to do the stretch and folds 4 times. Okay, so I'll be back in 30 minutes, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do our stretch and folds, always with wet hands, otherwise it becomes really miserable. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, welcome back. It's been 30 minutes. It's a little cool in my house, so I have just a little towel, well, that's just a mess, over the top. We're going to do our first stretch and fold, wet hands. Important, otherwise this is super sticky. Okay, so remember we're doing 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That's just to tell you where we're going to pull from. Okay, so first one, all the way up, lay it over. Turn it 90 degrees, all the way up. Come back down, 90 degrees. Now you're going to start to see it tightens up. So you have to be more gentle. And I'm using 2 hands now. Over. And now the last one. Okay. And then over. Let me see if I can get that just so you can see how that looks. I'll get better at this whole setting up the camera thing. It's new to me, and to be honest, it's kind of frustrating. I'm not a high-tech person. I'm the exact opposite, to be honest with you. I do everything from scratch, and I do everything apparently the hard way. But I like it. Anyway, we're going to set the timer. Hey, Siri, set timer 30 minutes.
30 minutes, counting down.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to come back in 30 minutes, and we're going to do the exact same thing 3 more times. Okay, so I'm not going to come back every 30 minutes and make you watch the same thing over and over again. Don't want to waste your time. So I'm going to come back when we've completed our final stretch and fold, and then we're going to shape our dough. That's my dog. Henry, stop, please. Sorry. He's the best dog ever, but he's, whew. Anyhow, when we're going to shape, and there's a couple of ways that we're going to shape. So I'm going to show you 2 shapes that we can do. We're going to do a boule, and we're going to do baguettes. Now, this isn't the authentic French baguette that you would get if you were walking through the streets of Paris. We will get to that, but that's much more advanced. I know it seems like it wouldn't be because it's such a simple dough, but that's all about technique. This is pretty close for something that's super easy. It's absolutely delicious, and I think you're going to really, really enjoy it. So, see you in 90 minutes. Oh my gosh. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Hi. Hello, gooses. Hello, sweet baby. Oh. What happened? What happened, goosey goosey? Hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi, sweetie. Hello. Who's cuter than the little gooses? Who's cuter than the little gooses?
Me.
All right, yes, we know they're geese. It's just fun calling them gooses, and they're trying to walk on me. Hi, welcome back. So we've done all 4 of our stretch and folds, and we're now up to shaping. I wanted to show you a couple of things first. These are called Bannetons, and I have several different kinds. This is an unlined one. This is the lining. See, it's the same style, but it has a lining in it. So these rings would be left showing on the outside of the dough, where on this one, it would not. This one's from Germany, and it's actually made out of paper, except it's like really heavy duty. And it helps absorb some of the moisture on the outside, which makes it easy to have a nice design. So I just wanted to show you a few that I have. I have more. So today we're going to split our dough in half, and we're going to do one small boule. We're going to set this aside. And this is a baguette pan. It's like a mold, I guess. I've had it for, my gosh, maybe it's older than my kids. So it no longer is stick resistant. So I just take a sheet of parchment and I line it in there and I give it a pinch across the top and it holds on. I refuse to replace it because it still works great. And so we're going to stick that there. We'll move our towel and we're going to start to do some shaping. In here is rice flour. Now we use rice flour instead of all-purpose flour or bread flour because it will not absorb into our dough. Our dough has the exact amount of flour in it that we want. And so we're going to dust our surface. Okay. And we're going to let our dough out very gently. We don't want to knock the air out. We just spent a long while getting all that air built in there. Okay. So now we've got our, anything that I'm touching, because this is a very sticky dough. As I told you, the moisture content is higher, but it gives you a really, really nice result. This is a bench scraper or a bench knife. And it just goes underneath and it helps release the dough from the board. When it seems like it's a little sticky, we just dust it very, very lightly. We don't have to worry because we're using rice flour, so it'll just come right off. We're going to spread our dough out, very much like we did in 101. Okay? And I'm very gently manipulating this dough and very gently with my fingertips. That's why there's extra rice flour on the board for my fingertips. And I'm not pushing all the way down. I'm just giving it a little jostle so it lets go and allows me to work through. Now I'm going to cut it in half. If you wanted to weigh it, we'll get into that as we go further, where we're switching from using cups and so forth, and we're going to be using our scale and working only in grams. But since we're still at the beginner stage, we're keeping it very simple. We are not weighing. We're going to eyeball it. Okay? Pull it aside. Now, it is quite sticky. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the far end, come up to the center. We're going to take the end that's closest to the camera away from me, come all the way over, turn it sideways. Okay, so you can see it was just like folding a letter. Then we're going to take the end that was now open and sticky, bring it over, bring that far end that's now the furthest away from me, closest to you, and go all the way over. Now we're going to dust our counter just a little bit. Okay, and we're going to just start to very gently. We don't want to knock the air out. We're going to retain as much air as possible. It's very lofty. You can feel it. It's like a pillow. So I'm just sealing the bottom. So I'm dragging this very little rice flour on the board because I need some tension on this board that's going to hold it in the center. So I can just kind of pull it towards myself in a rounding motion. And you'll see, I see how I do that. Pick it up, do it again. Rounding, and it's closing the bottom. Okay. And now the top is nice and smooth. We have surface tension, which you'll learn way more about as we go forward, because that becomes a much bigger deal. Right now, we're still at the beginning, not a major big deal. We're going to, I see a fly, generously sprinkle rice flour, not all-purpose flour or any other type of flour. It has to be rice flour. And we're going to turn it over, and we're going to pinch closed. Okay, pick it up, drop it in, bring it towards yourself, and you're going to take it like if you were just two little pinchies and cross over each other. Cross over each other and seal. Cross over each other and seal. Cross over each other and seal. That's called stitching. Okay? Very nice. Sprinkle a little bit over the top. That's just to keep it from sticking. And I forgot to grab it. Here we go. Just like last week, we've got our little cover that's really a shower cap that you can possibly use on your head. And we're going to set this aside. The oven is now heating to 450. I'm going to take this and I'm going to let it sit on top of that oven, which is warm, and it's going to start to make this rise a little more comfortably because the house is pretty cold right now. It's June, it's 1,000,000 degrees outside, so the air conditioning is cranked. So to make sure that we can get this going at the proper time, we're going to take it and just stick it right on top of the oven, which warms up as the oven is heating. So now we clean up this mess just a little bit, which is the other beauty of one of these, of a bench scraper, excuse me. And now we're going to work with our second half of the dough. Now I want to use this one. So I'm going to make 2 smaller baguettes. Now my dough is not even at all, very common. Again, we're going to dust our surface very gently, pull very gently. We don't want to knock the air out. Okay? We're almost to where we're even-ish, which is what we're going to go for. We're going to cut this lengthwise. So we're going to go, okay, set one aside, okay, and now we're going to take this end, bring it over, take this end, make sure there's no extra flour there, bring it over, okay. So now we have, but they're not overlapping like a letter. They're near each other. And then we're going to lift up and we're going to fold over and pinch, fold over and pinch, fold over and pinch. And we're going to seal this closed. Again, not a perfect French baguette. That's not what we're going for this time. Hold on one second. I don't know why. That was driving me crazy. Okay. All right. So now we're sealed a little bit more on our surface. And we're just going to roll very gently from the center out. Excuse me. And we're going to make the ends a little pointier. Just like that. And when we have a spot here that's not quite even, these will even out. And we're going to take it, flip it over to the sealed, so the sealed sign is on the bottom side, excuse me. We're going to just take it and drop it right there. I'm going to do the whole thing again with the second one. That's a very large bubble. We don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and pop that. Okay. Bring it in. Okay. Just a little bit more on our surface. Take the long side and bring it over. Okay, and seal, pinch, 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 pinch. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to very gently from the center and work out. From the center and work out. And we're going to press down a little harder on the ends. That's going to give us this pointy side. We're much gentler, even though it may not look that way. I'm not pressing down. I'm putting just a little bit of pressure so it slides across the board. And much more pressure on the ends, so we get that. Drop it right there. And we're going to just drape plastic wrap over the top, put it over here for its final rise, and we'll be right back. So I decided I was going to step it up just a little bit. This is a combo cooker. It is cast iron. It is also easily replaced by a Dutch oven. You've probably heard that a lot with baking bread. I'm going to do the boule in here by having it sealed. The natural liquid that's going to come off of that, excuse me, over there, that extra moist bread that we've got is going to turn to steam. And that's going to give us a beautiful rise sealed inside of here, and it's going to cause a nice crust. So for 30 minutes of its baking, we're going to leave the lid on, and then we're going to remove it, and we'll do 15 minutes with it off, just for its final browning. It makes a difference. If you don't have one, just bake it. Will you get the same exact result? No. But will it be delicious? Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to put this back in the oven. It has to be preheating at the same time as when you turn the oven on. You don't want to go with a cold Dutch oven into a hot oven. That's not a great idea. So I put this in when I first started warming the oven. I'm going to put it back in now. Our dough is on its final rise, and we're almost there. It's going to be great. Off we go with the world's hardest mitts. Okay, we're back again. Our dough is ready, and I'm going to show you the last step. Okay, so here's our boule. I am going to get off. There we go. This is just on the bottom. What's the top becomes the bottom. So we're going to very carefully cover that. Now this is my lamb. I've had it forever. And it's a blade that's attached to a handle. Nothing more. However, I've heard people say that you can use a serrated knife or things like that. I don't find that it works. I find that the serrated knife actually drags, especially if you're with a really sticky dough like this one. Even with a blade as sharp as this one, it's likely to stick just a little bit. So it doesn't cost very much. In fact, they're incredibly inexpensive. I'll link this one or one similar. I've had it a long time, so I can't say for sure they have the exact one. But I'll link one that's inexpensive. And the blades are very inexpensive. They come in a refill pack, so you can just keep changing them as you need them. You want to change them fairly often if you bake a lot. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that Dutch oven out of the combo cooker, excuse me, out of the oven. So it's ready for me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to make my cuts, and then I'm going to use the paper as a sling to take it and put it into that pot, put the lid on, put it in the oven. Okay, so let me grab it. Okay. All right, so now you don't want to knock the air out. That's all we're doing, is protecting our work. So I very carefully invert it this way. It let go. Hello, there we go. Everybody gets tucked in. And you can make all the different designs you want. You can get super fancy. I'm just doing straight across. And then I go a few times underneath and release it just a little bit more underneath. And then just a few decorative swipes. As we go forward, we can get into some really fancy stuff where you do wheat stalks and all that cool stuff. But I'm coming underneath and releasing it just a little bit more right under here. Okay. Take the lid off. See how hot that is? Pick it up. Drop it in. Hey Siri, set timer 30 minutes.
30 minutes, counting down.
And then we have our little sweet baguettes. This is the rice flour again. And the reason I'm putting rice flour on top is so that our cuts will show. And you'll see what I mean when I take them out. But what we're going to do is, again with our lamb, you're going to make, in this case, because they're not very big, these are Demi Baguettes as they would be called, 3 cuts. If these were the full-size baguettes, they would be 5. 3, and they have to be overlapping. So when you pull one, you start where the other cut already existed, maybe by an inch. So it's 3 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going back in to make sure I didn't have any, because this dough is sticky. So the blade does drag just a tiny bit. That's it, that's all. Okay? We're going to bake this with the paper in the pan. If we took this and put it on a sheet pan, they would spread a bit, and we're trying to avoid that. That's what the mold's for. And we're just going to go right beside our combo cooker. Okay, bread's in the oven. I'll see you when it comes out, and we'll let it cool. I'll get a rack ready for us. We don't cut hot bread. Remember, we want to let it finish cooling. That is a very important part of the baking process. In fact, it is considered the final step of the baking process. It has to push that steam off, which allows the bread to finish gelatinizing in the center. There's actually a word for it whose name I currently forgot, but it's very important. And we want to make sure that we do that so that we don't ruin the crust and we don't ruin the center. The center would be really gummy if you cut it when it's hot, and there is no fixing that. So we want to let that steam drive off all by itself. The crust will soften a little bit as the steam goes on, and then it re-crisps, unless it's pouring down rain. If it's really, really humid, there's nothing you can do about that. If you want something super crispy, you have to re-toast it a little bit in the oven. So I'll see you when I'm taking the lid off the combo cooker. That's in about 30 minutes, and the baguettes will be ready to come out in about 20. So I'll see you then. This is our bread, cooled and sliced. Look at that crumb. For something so easy. Look at that. I'm telling you, this is as easy as it gets, and it's flippin' fabulous. Let me slather some with butter for you. Look at that. Butter and homemade jam. This is the kind of stuff that lets you know someone loves you, or if you're the one making it, it's an easy way to show the people in your life you love them. This is so good. I'm done with this video. I'm eating this. Love you. See you next time.